Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to the Rod Shop. Today we're talking about super flat epoxy work, so stick around. Okay, so today we are going to be working on some super flat epoxy with a twist. And since Hurricane or Tropical Storm Debbie, BBY, dumped about a foot of rain on our job, one of my young guns, Efren, slide in here so they can see you. He's one of the guys that allows me to be in here and play with y'all all the time because he's running the construction company for me. He didn't have anything to do today, so he's in here learning a little bit about building rods. So, first thing we're going to do is going to mix up some epoxy. Now, you guys have seen me use the D2 diamond finish. I get questions all the time, what's the best epoxy? I don't have an answer for that. What I recommend is find one you like and keep using it. I always use a low build formula. I don't like the high build stuff. I want multiple thin coats. It always will yield you a better finished product, in my opinion, than one coat of a high build. So you're going to see me use low build forever. I do have some Gen 4 that I got that I'm going to try, but not on a client rod. I'll try that on one of my own rods, so if it looks like crap when I'm done, I don't care. So let's mix up some epoxy. Again, we're mixing 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to mix black cap first. We're going to drop it in. This is the hardener, and for some reason, if I start with the hardener and then I put the white part in, which is the resin, I have less bubbles. I don't know why, but that's just the way it works out for me. And I'm going to mix quite a bit. Don't mix less than 3 cc's. I'm going to mix 5 cc's today because I'm going to split this batch up. Add some marbling to it for some base color, because I'm building on a MB705, which is an X-ray blank. We've got the ribs, and I want to go straight with labels on here, and I can't do that when I got the ribs. Black out of the way. We'll move that over here. 5 cc's of the resin. And then we mix for 3 minutes. Now, when you got it laying in the cup here and it's not really mixed, your time really doesn't start ticking, because we're going to have about, with a 73-degree rod shop temperature this morning, we're going to have about 15 to 18 minutes to work with this epoxy. So I need a stick. I'll pull this one to mix with, and then we're going to mix for 3 minutes. So we'll see in a minute, or 3. We'll talk about it. So one of the questions that Efren was asking is, how often do I get to use my syringes? And I use them for the whole bottle typically, but you can't mix them up. So I have the white tip and no markings on this is my resin syringe, and I have the black tip, and I took a magic marker and just put a black mark on it for my hardener syringe. And as long as you don't mix them up, you can use them indefinitely, because as long as they don't touch, the two parts don't touch each other, they stay liquid. But when you mix them up, like I have in the past, that's the last time you use it, because they seal up completely. All right, so we've got 3 minutes on this epoxy now. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to split this epoxy, because we're going to do some custom color. This is the twist part of the flat epoxy. I was going to do just flat epoxy for you guys in clear, but that's kind of boring, and I'm in the middle of this rod anyway, and I'm playing with some colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take marbling pigment. And this was a question I got on our comment, or a question I got in the comment section a couple weeks ago, is how do I mix my custom colors? And this is how I do it. I'm going to leave a little bit of clear just in case I need it. And the color I want to kind of match that green color, I want that color to be a little different anyway, but is somewhere in between this marine, which is like a teal, and a color called green lava. So what I'm planning on doing here is I'm going to mix up a little bit of each color. I can't find my stuff. There it is. I'm just going to take a little bit of this marbling pigment in the marine color, and I'm going to take a little bit of the green lava and put it in the other one. And to get a custom blended color, I always mix them wet. So what I'll do is I'll just make up 2 different colors of epoxy, and then I mix them just like you would paint. Some people, one of the question was, how do you mix them, you know, where you would just add both colors to the same epoxy? And it's like, you could do that. I don't trust my ability to do that well, so I don't try it. Will you reach in that coffee cup? There's a couple little white sticks sticking out of that black coffee cup over there. Some nice little my H3 shirts. Little white plastic sticks. No, the white plastic, the round ones. Give me another one too. So I'm going to mix up this epoxy here to get my colors. Pretty cool colors. But what I want is somewhere in between the two, because that's too dark and this is way too light. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to color this white in this is carbon fiber black, or carbon fiber grip, and it's a weave. So I want to cover this. And what I did prep, guys, I didn't talk about, is I've already taped up my hood to the blank ahead of where I need it to be out of the way, so it doesn't bang around when it's drying. I've also taped off, this is the end of my base epoxy layer here for labels and for where my hook keeper is going to go to protect the blank from hooks. And then I've taped off the reel seat and the butt grip so that once I get the epoxy on, I can peel it. You're going to have to peel it anyway before it hardens. You can use the more expensive tape. I've tried everything, even to 3M automotive masking tape, and epoxy gets under everything, so you might as well use the cheap stuff because you have to peel it and clean anyway. So, alright, so I got that mixed. Where we at with time? Okay, so we're about 6 minutes into this epoxy. You keep your eye on the clock. I got this mixed. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to mix this with my brush. So the first thing I want to do is find my foot pedal. I'm going to put it in wrap mode. Find my foot pedal. Okay. Alright, so now we'll start mixing. And I'll leave the 2 colors kind of separated and mix in the middle to get the blend I want. And I'll just keep pulling the lighter color or the darker color in to see, to get what I want. And that's kind of the color I'm going for. Now we're going to cover all these threads too. So I think just a total mix is going to be fine for what I'm trying to do with this first coat. Again, if I don't like it, I'll just cover it up with something else, the next coat. But one thing I want to do to make this go a little easier is I'm going to put some heat on. So I got a heat gun right there. That E-Clark yellow looks like a DeWalt. So this is my battery powered 20 volt system DeWalt. I mean, I use my flamethrower, which I don't know where I put it. It's up here somewhere. But with epoxy and open flame, you got to worry because you can burn epoxy. Harbor Freight makes a really good cheap corded one that I used for years. It's around there still somewhere, but I found this DeWalt imitation looking heat gun on Amazon, and I'll put the link down in the description for you. I just want to heat it up and it'll cause the bubbles to pop too. You see the bubbles pop immediately and I get a little more flow out of it. I don't want to get it too hot. Put that there. And now it's going to run quite a bit better. And what I will do now is I'm going to start coating this. Now, this is just a base layer. Now I'm going to wind up scraping most of this back off once I get it loaded on the blank in the areas that I want it. Because if this was thread work or even this carbon fiber material, it has air trapped in it. And if you try to put your first coat on too thick, the air coming out of the material, either the carbon fiber or the just regular thread work, will cause a bubble. So what I will do here is I'm going to coat it on there very heavy, and then I'm basically going to scrape all of it back off. But what I'm trying to do is put a coat of epoxy in the base of the carbon fiber threads, if that makes sense. It'll soak down in. I mean, you'll see dry spots pop up on this in a little bit where it is soaked down into the carbon fibers. Now, in the next video, I'm going to do some marbling with these two colors again, but this is just the base. Try to get everything sealed. I don't have enough, I don't think, to get my woodies in there. Let's get them to run. We'll mix that up too. Just to get everything covered with the first coat. We'll see. I may have enough, but I'm using my power wrapper here just to turn it faster than you would, say, in dryer mode, which you could use your hand dryer or your single dryer if you don't have a power wrapper, or you can do this by hand. I have the tools. I'm going to use them. I did many of them, turning them by hand. And if you haven't done a lot of epoxy work yet, I recommend you doing one by hand. Just you really will get a feel for the way that the epoxy behaves. And that goes back to the opening part of this conversation where I don't know which one's the best. I just have one I like. And what you should do is find one that you like and really learn how it behaves, because they all behave a little differently as far as set times and how they mix, and just there's a lot of individual characteristics, I guess, to each kind of epoxy. They're all very similar. They're two-part. You mix them 1-to-1, and you get a certain amount of time. But each brand is just a little bit different. It's like the difference between Pepsi and Coke. Not a lot, but if you're a Coke guy, you don't drink Pepsi, and if you're a Pepsi guy, you don't drink Coke. So I'm just getting a base layer here. Spread. Did you get all that into one cup? We're getting close to it.
Yeah, that's good.
And what I'm just looking for in the reflection is to make sure I don't have a dry spot in my reflection on the areas that I have epoxy. I'm just trying to get, you can see that little bit of shimmer, shine in this, which is what I really would like to, that's what I'm going for. Alright, so let's see if we're able to salvage some extra of this. Oh, yeah, we're good. And I'm just turning it really slow now, just toe control. My G2 power wrapper with the upgraded foot pedal that I showed you guys how to do in a previous video really makes a difference, because I can actually absolutely control speed from barely moving to wide open, just with my toe. Yeah, and then I can stop it, I can turn it by hand, I can do whatever. All right, let's heat this up just a little bit. You see the bubbles starting to pop. It doesn't go instant hot. It takes a minute for it to warm up, the battery. And you can see the bubbles popping. And you can see some dry spots starting to show up on the grip. Like it's got that opaque look to it, and then all of a sudden you got a white. And what I'm trying to do is get rid of that bright white. So let's put some epoxy on up here. Grab me another paper towel off that roll, please. That's up high. Just a quarter sheet. I want to drop it on. I mean, I don't mind getting a little bit of epoxy on my power wrapper, but you have to clean it on a regular basis to get the towers to slide properly. So, oh, didn't get there in time. We're still recording, which is good. Again, I'm just trying to make sure I got this entire area wet. We'll get it flat in a minute. Let's see, I got a dry spot right there. A little bit of a dry spot here and there. Let's to the grip, or to the reel seat. You can just see a little bit of that green popping through in the reflection, and by the time I get another coat on, after I do my label work, it'll really give it some depth. You see some dry spots here showing up. I got that in the way of the camera. Some dry spots showing up. And we're looking at 13 minutes on this epoxy. Starting to get a little more difficult to work. I got a little bit of bulbs here and there. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that in just a second. There's another dry spot.
That's pretty sweet.
What's that?
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you get that color in there. Okay, now here's the secret to getting perfect. See, I got some dry spots here. You see that one?
Yeah.
It's tough to see unless you're looking at the reflection from the light. That's why I've got the lights turned down behind me, so I get this reflection. And this epoxy's starting to get tacky, which means we're about out of time. But I'm going to extend the time just a minute by doing this. All right, I'm going to put it in the dryer mode. And now I'm going to throw some heat on it. Some real heat. And what this will do, it's not going to slow down the set, but it'll make it very runny for a bit. So it'll run around the blank. There's the hole right there. Battery's about dead. Temps up. that spot right there. A little bit of a holiday. Ooh, the pan is hot. All right, here's the trick to get it perfectly flat. I got it hot. I'm gonna stop it and let it run. So it'll run, and you'll start seeing down here. You'll start seeing the drips. You'll give it a minute while it's running. If I can find my flamethrower.
It's right here.
Oh, there it is. Because I may need to throw a little more heat on it.
Yeah, it's about to drip right here.
So here's your drip. Let's move this kit. Don't do that. You couldn't really do a worse job, Lee. Got it right in it. Alright, so we're going to move this camera down. And what you can see is that drip right here. And all you got to do is pick it with your brush, your wet brush, and just kind of drag it off. And you got another one showing up right here. You just kind of lightly, you're not actually touching the blank, you're just touching the drip. Because no matter how hard you try to get it spread out evenly, you can't do it. Alright, so we got a drip. We'll move the camera back over here. How's that looking in the right spot? There we go. And there's a drip right there. And you just pull it and drag it down the blank. Got a couple right here. This is the secret, at least my secret. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but this is how I do it. To get my epoxy board absolutely perfectly flat. We're at 8:15 now, so we've got a few more minutes left on this epoxy, but it's still workable. So what I'm gonna do, my battery on my cordless is about dead. I don't wanna go dig another one out, so I'm gonna show you guys how to do it with the flamethrower. Provided I've actually got juice in it. Maybe not. Maybe it's time to replace it. Because I want to fire. No, I won't use the flamethrower. I think this one's dead. So there's a link in the description for the replacement of this one. I guess I'll be buying one for myself. But you can see that it's still running around the blank a little bit. And I've got a few holes still that are showing up. That one right there. Got a little bit of one there. Alright, let's let it run. We got quite a bit running here now in the rear grip. And this epoxy is about done. It's coming around. It's really got that deep metallic shine in there without being like too obnoxious. You can still see all carbon fiber. All right, so we got some grips coming around on the rear grip. There's 3 of them there. I see them coming. As soon as we get those peeled off, we will put this thing in dry and do some cleanup and just let it turn for about 5 or 6 hours. I like to wait normally a day before I go back and do another coat, but you can do it in as short as 5 or 6 hours. Okay, let's get rid of the sticky stuff so we don't put something in there that doesn't belong again. So let's grab, there's a squeeze bottle right there. It's got alcohol. That's a little ketchup bottle. Yep, that one right there. And my tools. All that's turning. One we didn't use. Put all this stuff in the trash box over there without getting it all over you and everything else. Like that. Drop it in the carpet, Lee. Good job. Upside down in the carpet too, perfect. Right, put all that in that trash box over there. Alright, so now what we do to clean the edges of all this. Got time for a new rug. As I've got some little squares cut already. And I'll just peel the tape. And you see it still ran up underneath the edge of it just a little bit. You see some sticky right there?
Yeah.
So to fix that, all I gotta do is to drop of alcohol. Nice neat fold line. I'm just going to slide in towards it. And you see how I kept moving the paper towel forward so I wasn't smearing what I was picking up. I was picking it up and you got a nice clean edge there now. Alright, so let's clear that one. And that actually stayed pretty clean. Got one little spot there. Let's see what this looks like. Stay pretty clean too. We got a little bit there, and I'll do the same thing. What you do is take a paper towel square, just a drop of alcohol. Don't need much. Hold a nice clean line, and I'm just gonna slide it in here. Oops, I got too far in there. Trying to do it where you guys can see it, and I can still see what I'm doing. That makes it a bit of a challenge sometimes. I think that's good. Let's see, I got one spot back here on the butt grip, which normally I would not have glued the butt grip up yet. I just left this piece off until I finish this. That way you don't have this epoxy running up on your AVA grip here. I got it. In the box, please. Got a little bit of a holiday there. Not a problem, I'll do a second coat. But yeah, there you go. That is the secret to super flat epoxy. And we did a twist with some marbling and doing some mixing of custom pigments in to get what I think is a really cool color. Now I'll mix another batch of this and I'll cover these threads and it'll all blend together. And I'll probably do one more to get a little more color into the grip. but I wanted to get the base coat in and get all the bubbles out and just get a base coat down, because right here is where I'll do a hook keeper and I'll do a label. But if you feel this, it's got ribs to it.
Oh yeah.
It's unsanded, so it's very crisp feeling. You know, it's not smooth like most blanks you're using fishing. The only way they get that way is when you either have a high resin percentage with your carbon fiber or they're sanded. These X-ray blanks are not sanded, so they're very crisp feeling. They don't feel wishy-washy at all.
Yeah.
And regardless, and this is a medium heavy fast. This is a super crisp blank, and one of my favorite blanks to fish with. And to get a label to stick and not be able to see all these ribs through, you have to have a smooth surface.
Right.
Also, I want to protect the blank itself, because this will be a Texas rig rod most likely, so you'll have a hook here and then you'll have a worm weight. And just riding around in a boat, bouncing, banging into it, you know, you don't want to fracture it. And I don't know that it's absolutely necessary, but it's just something I like to do on my rods. Plus it gives me a place to do some color, to really make my rods. I distinguish my rods. I'm mostly known for my epoxies and my colored grips and that kind of stuff. That's like my signature. So anyway, that's it for flat epoxy. Next time we're gonna do some more marbling. We'll do some more epoxy work on the guides. But thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time.